Hello everybody. This is going to be an optional video on truncating or shortening the shoulders because obviously they're not wide enough to be in proportion, and so I'm going to lob them off and make them look as if you know, like a truncated or a hermed top. And so, first of all, I do notice that I'm missing some clavicles here, so I've marked that. I've also come through, and I spent a little bit of time sort of marking where I trying to mark the shoulder cuts so that I know that I'm attempting to make them even. So I've given myself some guides. I've just taken this and drawn. I tend to lob it like this and this and this, leaving the front relatively smooth. But there's all different ways you can do this. I mean, if you just look on the interwebs and you write ceramic bust, you can see images. You can see there's all different ways that our busts are cut off throughout history, and the way we handle them is always different, etc., etc. So I'm gonna sculpt mine now for what I think best works for me. So, this is always a little tricky, but it's not that hard. I'm going to start with my big loop tool, and I'm going to start carving back the angle that I want. Now, this is really leather hard. And I'm going to have to attach more clay because I'm inevitably going to go through an area that I didn't plan for the shape well, you know. So what I'm doing is I'm carving back at the bottom so that I can create a angled top. Now you could leave it as simple as this if you wanted. You might have to reinforce down here. This is all preference, so it's all about what you like when you finish seeing it. There's no right or wrong. I guess there is wrong if it's too thin and it won't support the weight of the sculpture, but there's no real one way that you have to do it. But I do suggest looking at pictures and sort of getting some visual information about what you prefer when you're doing your sculpture. So I'm gonna just use a smaller one to detail this. I'm going to work on the other side a little bit. Turn this a little bit this way. I'm going to make a huge mess on the floor. Could also use a knife and cut, which I'm attempted to do. Again, this is optional. I'm going to take this small knife and do some cutting. Well, my sculpture's a little hard for the cutting. If it wasn't, there we go. Just tends to work a little bit. Faster. Save your scraps for slip. We're going to need slip for that cranium cap, and we're also going to need slip if we accidentally go through to paper, which is a possibility that I might, when changing the exterior shape of the herm itself, I might hit paper and have to add in backfill with clay. This is kind of a cleaner cut doing it this way. So it's hard on my fingers. I like it better like when it's angled in, and this one's straight, but I like this view better, so I'm gonna make the other one match it. I just find that slicing it like this is working better for me. So, not that I won't go back with the loop tool, but just that it's giving me a straighter plane. Cheese grater style. Yeah, I like it. I like it like that. So this one I'm going to go back and do the same. I need a different angle. So I'm going to come in and... Surprised I haven't hit paper yet. There's paper. I hit it right there. I'm going to have to fill that area because it won't be strong enough without it. I need like a little dump bucket. Well, I guess I have this tray over here. I'm going to put it in the tray. There we go. You can tell I'm not in my garage anymore. My garage just got too cold for me. I'm a wimp. I do not like being cold. When we come back from winter break, we will do a less, I'm hoping, okay, so my plan is that we will do a less messy project so that we can be inside until it warms up again, which isn't long in Texas, right? So by the end of February, it's warm again, and then we'll do outside carving for plaster, which will be messy. And we'll be able to be outside in the glorious sun after our winter, which is short in Texas, but still not my favorite season. I'm going to say that right now. But like most people, I'm going to complain consistently about the weather. Well, we do have to paint these, so once we get these fired and back, we'll have probably a week's worth of work finishing them off post firing. But we'll probably take a break in between this and painting them. Just not enough to not make vase, but just enough to like come back and feel fresh and excited about your sculpture, and not like, oh, that was so hard. It's hard, and it's a lot of time and dedication. Like, this project is the biggest time dedication one that we do, and it takes a lot. Still can't believe I haven't cut through. I'm gonna do some measuring because apparently one shoulder is much longer than the other, and I need to remediate that. This one is longer. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to cut more off here. Look at it from the front and see if it's the same. Yeah. This one needs to be tweaked back. My line that I drew initially was right. Go figure. I had measured and then ignored my measurements. So here we go. Oh, paper, glorious paper. There's the moment we've all been waiting for when I hit paper. And it's okay because I can fix it. So what I mean is I've hit paper, so I need to, what I will do is I'll push this back in to the sculpture, just like that. And then I'll score and slip and add clay there in order to have a strong foundation. But I prefer it to be much angled. You may not. Again, look at pictures, decide what you want, map it out, execute, run into problems, fix problems. These are the steps. Okay. There we go. Okay, now this one needs to be more of an angle too, so in the front at least. So I'm going to angle it a little bit more. Oh, look it, I hit paper. Push that in. Oh, my shoulders aren't exactly symmetrical, so I'm gonna do some leveling. Get it from the back. Okay. A nice straight line at the bottom, so I'm just carving in a nice straight line. Okay, now I have to decide if I want to carve in the back, which I like it like that, so I'm going to. And then I'll come back and I will fix this. Don't worry. Hi, Poops. Hi, Lily Dog. Are you the best sculptor buddy in the world? Huh? Okay, so now I'm gonna just lob off the back here. I like it at an angle as well. And then I'll fix my areas of messy, messy, messy. Okay. Make a huge mess. I'm just going to try to smooth this out. The combination of this tool and my metal rib. okay, that's kind of how I like it. I might go a little bit further carving, but let me show you. And I gotta smooth it. I'm gonna smooth it. But basically that's it. Let me show you how I will attach more clay to this area that's broken, or that's I went through. You could totally carve this out and leave it hollow so you could see through it. People do that. People do all sorts of things, but I want to cover it. That's my preference. So I'm gonna score that area first. I'm gonna try to find my score tool, and this score tool is too weak. It's too weak for my clay. I need to get really deep score marks. So can you see those really deep score marks? I'm gonna wet it. You can just slip, but I'm gonna wet it and rescore over the surface, the wetted surface, to get sure that water gets into the clay and not just stays on the surface. Then I'm going to take a substantial amount of wet clay, and I'm going to push it into that hole and then push it up to where I scored. Just do some smoothing. I am going to let this sit up. Like, I need these two clay bodies to now marry each other and become the same dryness before I do anything else. So it's a wait and see game. Do the same over here. That paper back in so that clay to push in there. I need to like create almost like an inch thickness in there, so I'm adding enough clay to really to push in there, and not so that it creates volume on the inside. This is the same way we'll fix weak spots in when we go to hollow. I mean, okay, so now I've created that. It's gonna have to set up. I need some clavicle here, so I'm gonna add a little clay there. Just yay! Somebody's walking by. Okay, that looks too big right now, but like the point being that it's in place, and once those clays again marry each other, they need to um like this one's stiff and this one's wet. They need to come together to be a similar consistency before I do any of my like real smoothing, or I just end up messing everything up. Alright, too thick. Again, too thick. It doesn't ever look like that. It will be molded in once it has a chance to set up. This is the same thing as the metal rib. It's just rubber. Your kit doesn't have this, and I just grabbed it. I should be using the metal one so that I'm using the same tools that you have. And even yours is shaped a little different than this, but it's the same thing, and I just can't find where I put the one that's shaped like yours. So it's exact. It just has, this has a point. This is more for throwing on the potter's wheel really than sculpting the pointy edge, but we're going to use it. So I just use this to smooth out anything before it gets too dry, and then I'll come back and refine again and again and again. Last step is just to fix the bottom edge here, and that's that. Clay there. Be careful not to go too far. You don't want this to not be able to stand. So, just so you know. Okay, lobbed off. Happy-ish.